Paxil, once it got approved by the FDA as the first antidepressant to be used for social anxiety, it took off huge. And it just moved from number 3 in the market amongst its peer drugs to number 1 in the market.
Disturbo dell'ansietà sociale è solo uno dei molti disturbi creati dagli psichiatri che alimentano il boom nelle prescrizioni dei farmaci psicotropi.
Psychiatrists work to promote what the latest disease is going to be. These days, bipolar is getting that same type of promotion.
Everybody's being educated about their bipolar illness, when in fact, we know having emotional ups and downs is distinctly human.
Now bipolar is thrown around like water. You've got bipolar, I have bipolar. If I'm up today, I'm manic. If I go home tonight and I'm depressed because I'm tired, that shows I have bipolar disease. It's a lot of hokum.
Have you ever worried with seeing all the increased media on it that you might have a mental disorder?
Yes.
And which one is that?
I would say bipolar. You know, they talk about bipolar a lot.
Bipolar, I've known a lot of bipolar.
2 friends from both of them were like diagnosed with bipolar.
My neighbor, she was bipolar.
I was diagnosed with bipolar.
My mother had bipolar.
He was actually bipolar.
Schizophrenic bipolar. Bipolar and obsessive compulsive.
Bipolar and ADHD.
Bipolar disorder. Bipolar, yeah.
Bipolar situation. Bipolar.
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 Bipolar. There are 3 personality disorders, and then the most recent is bipolar. And that's just been in the past year.
A diffondere la popolarità del disturbo bipolare, in particolare dei bambini, è lo psichiatra dottor Joseph Biderman, un oratore pagato, consigliere e ricercatore di 25 diverse case farmaceutiche.
In 1996, the drug companies funneled all this money to this Dr. Biderman. He's well known. He's the one that came up and said that there's bipolar disorder in little kids. This was unheard of. There was no bipolar disorder in any kids. He came up with the study and published the articles out all over the world, and other doctors followed his lead that bipolar is in little kids.
A causa della costante promozione da parte del dottor Biderman e i suoi colleghi, c'è stato un aumento del 4000% di diagnosi di disturbi bipolari nei bambini dal 1994, mentre il numero di antipsicotici che vengono loro prescritti è quintuplicato fino ad una stima di 2,5 milioni di prescrizioni. Nel 2008 il dottor Biderman era stato denunciato da un'investigazione del Senato per non aver denunciato il reddito di 1,6 milioni di dollari ricevuti dalle case farmaceutiche. Ma il danno era stato fatto. Per via della moda del disturbo bipolare creato dal dottor Biderman, gli antipsicotici, alcuni dei più potenti farmaci psicotropi prescritti, sono i farmaci psichiatrici prescelti. I 3 farmaci antipsicotici più venduti hanno prodotto entrate per un totale di $25.000 ogni minuto. Indipendentemente da quanto grande diventi l'industria dei farmaci psicotropi prescritti, gli psichiatri lavorano sodo nel fornire le diagnosi per farla diventare ancora più grande.
Let's say this is the pie right here of a certain class of medications, and this is a pretty profitable pie, and everybody wants a piece of that pie. But what would happen if we made that pie even bigger? And how you make the pie even bigger is by expanding the uses for those drugs.
They've already got a drug that's approved on the shelf. They can just pull it off the shelf, rename it, repackage it, and say, look, we've got a new drug for a new illness.
When Prozac's patent ran out, Eli Lilly had to look for a new source of profits. So all they did was change the name of the drug from Prozac to Serafem, changed the color of the pill from green to pink, and marketed it for PMDD, which was newly introduced into this book.
What it tells us is that if you can come up with a label, a diagnostic label for a drug, then you can sell it like hotcakes.
It's a business model, and it's a billion-dollar business model, and it works, and it's going to keep continuing.
Oggi chiunque potrebbe inconsapevolmente assumere un farmaco psichiatrico che è stato rietichettato, riconfezionato e prescritto a scopi non psichiatrici. Zyban, prescritto come cura per il fumare, è in realtà l'antidepressivo Wellbutrin. Cymbalta, un farmaco psichiatrico per la depressione e l'ansietà, è stato ora introdotto sul mercato come Jentreve per l'incontinenza urinaria. I ricercatori della psichiatria svolgono test con farmaci psicotropi su un'ampia varietà di condizioni, come l'obesità, l'alcolismo, il gioco d'azzardo, le vampate di calore, l'herpes, la nausea, il prurito, i brividi e un eccessivo tirare dei capelli. C'è una pillola per ogni malattia e praticamente a nessuno sta venendo detto quanto sono pericolosi gli psicofarmaci.
As a chemist, I'm making these drugs. They're proving deadly in our labs, and they're proving deadly in other labs. Dangerous, ineffective, causing the exact same thing they're supposed to treat. How are they selling them?
For anyone who's given a label of a psychotic illness, drugs seem to be the automatic choice of treatments as night follows day.
That's all psychiatry does. It's dominated by psychopharmacologists who do nothing but manage symptoms by dispensing pills. That's it. And they don't work. But the fact that they don't work works to the advantage of the drug companies and the psychiatrists, which means that you're not cured, which means that you're a patient for life, you're a customer, you're a client for life. And the worse your health gets, the more drugs you need. It's a great deal for them.
We should all be up in arms about the way we're being treated by psychiatry today. This is a very dangerous industry that has gone so far overboard in inventing fictitious diseases and drugging our children and our population that I consider it to be engaged in crimes against humanity.
Con oltre 80 miliardi l'anno in ballo per farmaci psichiatrici, è impossibile farsi sfuggire la saturazione di disturbi psichiatrici che diventano un affare nella società del giorno d'oggi. Ma dietro al marketing si nasconde un segreto che i clienti della psichiatria rimarrebbero scioccati a conoscere. Come vengono testati questi farmaci? E sono sicuri?
No one knows precisely how these psychiatric medications act.
We don't know if I give you a medication if it is going to work or not.
There's not a great deal of scientific support for using them.
I myself, I try to pick a drug whose side effects might be useful.
You have to choose what is the best option.
We don't have sure methods.
There are no rules. Everything it's an art, really.
Often it's trial and error.
It's a kind of a trial and error.
It's trial and error.
Some degree of trial and error, I guess.
A blind man's bluff or something like that.
You never know if it's the right drug.
It's a much more complex subject.
There's always going to be huge surprises, and that's what makes it so difficult. The best psychiatrists in the world will mess up all the time.
The American public is being treated as a mass medical experiment. We are all being treated like guinea pigs by the pharmaceutical companies, the psychiatric industry, and the FDA.
They are basically testing drugs on large parts of the population without really knowing what the results are going to be.
It's a very dire situation that we're facing. We're talking about people's health and in many situations people's lives. These are very serious issues.
In quanto composti chimici pericolosi, i farmaci psicotropi vengono strettamente regolati dai governi di tutto il mondo. E affinché l'uso di qualsiasi nuovo farmaco venga approvato, deve superare test intesi a proteggere il pubblico.
When a pharmaceutical company develops a new drug that they want to send to the market, what they do is they have to run it through clinical trials. They have to be able to provide to the FDA safety data to say this is a safe and effective drug.
In clinical trials, psychiatrists are engaged to do the research. And we could bank on the fact that these psychiatrists are tied to the pharmaceutical companies.
And the psychiatrist puts their name on there, they're seen as an expert. Talking mental drugs, who writes them? It's psychiatrists. So that's how it works. It's a terrible system.
The desperate thing about it is that it's all dressed up in the name of science. But it's not science at all, it's pure marketing. But they get away with it because it's called science.
There's really no test, no X-ray, there's no chemistry that shows you have this condition. It's really just the opinion of someone who is probably taking money from pharmaceutical companies to prescribe drugs to people.
Where's the biochemistry? Where's the research? Where's the substantiation? And the answer is it vaporizes like mist in the morning. It's not there.